Ooh, what's up, everybody? I am live. The glare on these glasses. Okay, so this is a conversation about why we hate budgets and the things that we need to do differently so that we can implement, execute, and move our finances to the next level. Um, hey, oh, so somebody's here already. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. I am testing out YouTube live stream compared to like being on Instagram or some of these other platforms because we know that YouTube is a better search engine. And of course, we can reach and teach more people leveraging a platform like this, right? So, um, yeah, let's dive into this and really get to it. So yesterday I did a training. It was a master class on how to manage your money better as an entrepreneur and really just take your finances to that next level. And there was a section where we were talking about budgeting, right? And there are so many people that when you mention budgeting, you just get this visceral reaction. Your body just is like, I don't like it, right? And so I want to talk through like why we start to feel some of those things and ways we can reshape how we approach budgeting, why it's important to approach it differently, so that you can really see the change that you want to see in your finances, right? A good financial plan is predicated on your spending, right? If you don't have your budget in alignment where you are able to allocate your finances to the places it needs to go, then you're not going to be able to do some of this more advanced investing and strategy that's going to allow you to retire the way that you want, right? So, like, the first step of all of this is we need a good budget, friends, right? So I want to walk through some of the stuff that we talked about. So when I was mentioning this idea, right, and how many of us we avoid budgets like the plague, right? It's just we don't want anything to do with it. And so some of the notes that I have here, right? So one of the very first reasons why we don't like it is because there's no hiding in a budget. It is the greatest snitch of all time. It just tells all your business, right? Because it's either you did what you said you were going to do and you followed the budget, you have um allocated your resources the way that you said you would, or you didn't, right? It doesn't allow you to claim to be ignorant to what's going on because you've decided that you were going to document and decide like where all this money was supposed to go. And so if you didn't follow the budget, you didn't have the discipline. So it literally tells you about yourself. So I think that's one of the first things that we don't like about budgeting because it highlights our lack of discipline. Then the second thing that I mentioned was that it reminds us of how much money we don't have. So when you are putting together a budget, right, and you see that you only have a certain amount of money in order to spend on particular things, it reminds you that, oh my goodness, like these funds are limited, like these resources are limited. And so it is a visual representation of how you feel when you don't have all the things that you want. And so we don't like that feeling. For many of us, a budget is a reminder that there are restrictions, there are limitations, there are things that we are not able to do, right? So if you've ever felt that, let me know in the comments, right? When you think about the word budget, does it make you feel negative? Do you have this response that's like, oh, it doesn't make me feel good, right? But the good thing about this is that your perspective doesn't have to stay negative. It doesn't have to remain um this thing where when you think about budgets, you think restriction, you think broke, you think I don't got it. My first career, I was working at NASA, right? No, I was not an astronaut, but I was in the office of procurement and I had the opportunity to look at some of these budgets and see like the millions of dollars that NASA was spending. And a lot of times it was on like the capsules that they were going to crash test. And I'm seeing these line items and this millions of dollars. And it made me realize that, you know, budgets are not inherently bad. Budgets tell you how to direct your spending. It tells you um, how much money is going to be allocated. And so large corporations use budgets. There just happens to be more money inside the budget. And so the budget itself is not the problem. It's our perspective and how we think about it when we're using it. So it's important that if you want to go down this path of improving your finances, you don't have this negative association with a spending plan, with a budget, with directing your resources. So that way you can shift how you think about it to be a more positive experience. And then the next thing we talked about was how it is a reminder of our desire to be in a better place, right? And so if you've been on this journey for a while where you've been trying and trying and trying to get your finances in order and you don't seem to be making any traction, a budget is now a reminder of, okay, I've been trying to do this thing for so long and I still don't have it together, right? And so, sometimes we don't like to be reminded of our shortcomings. And so instead of addressing it head on, we will just decide that, you know, this thing is never going to come to pass. And so we will continue to walk away from it. So if you're in a place where you know you've been thinking about your finances and it's been years and maybe even decades of you saying you want to do something different but never actually being able to see it come into fruition, the idea of budgeting could be that reminder that I've already gone down this road. I don't like how this feels. I don't want to do it anymore. And so it's like that nagging, like a reminder that all the time you said you were going to do this and you still haven't done it yet. So that was another thing that we talked about. And then we moved on to point 4, where this is where it really takes away your ability to hide around what you say you think is important, right? And so there's a scripture and I don't know where it exactly is, but basically it talks about like where your heart is where your treasure will also be. And so when you think about your spending, that tells you what you value, right? And a lot of us like to think that we value being savers and we value being responsible and being disciplined. Like we like to say those are the things that we value, but if we go back and look at how we spend, our finances say otherwise, right? Our finances tell us that, oh, well, we really value convenience and we make impulse decisions and we are not being disciplined with the way that we manage our money. And so it doesn't allow you to say you are a particular way and then your finances say something else, right? And I think that's why there is this tug, because there's incongruence with who we say we are versus with what our finances say. And a budget is going to illuminate that, right? It's going to tell you that, oh, you said saving for retirement and financial freedom was important to you, but this budget says you lack control when you go into Target and you find something to spend money on, right? I'm in a I'm in a group on Facebook. Um and it's like Black girls in Target or something like that. And they were in there buying buckets, y'all, with just the Target logo on it, right? And so, and I mean, if you got it, you got it, right? That's something that you value, more power to you. But we have to have these honest conversations with ourselves about who we say we are and what our finances reflect as well. So, hey B, thanks for commenting. And so, like, that's one of the things that having a budget will do. It's going to hold that mirror up to you to say, okay, you said these were the things that were important to you, but the way that you're spending says otherwise. And if you are not ready to accept that, then there's going to be this friction, there's going to be this tension that um you're not gonna like until you either address it and make sure that you confront what you say you believe and make the changes to get in alignment, or just decide like it is what it is. And that's what a lot of us have done. We've reached this place where we're like, it is what it is. And then we don't want to do the work to change. All right. And then the last thing is it is a barometer of doing what we said we would do financially. Okay? Um and it's like literal financial accountability, because if we make this budget and we say we're only going to spend, $250 eating out, and then you go back and look and you see that you spent $700 eating out, right? That is the indicator that there is no discipline, there is no um accountability for you following through on what you said you would do. And so we have evidence that we do not keep to our word, right? And we see this across many areas of our lives, right? You might also see it with working out. You might say that, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, 4 days this week, or 3 days this week, or 5 days this week, or whatever the numbers are, right? But with our finances, because it's such an emotional connection, us not sticking to that budget, it does something to us where the pain of not doing what we said with our money hurts more than some of the areas where we don't show up for ourselves, right? So that barometer, that accountability, for many of us, it's just like, well, I'd rather just continue sweeping it under the rug than deal with the feelings that I have for not doing what I said I would do with my money, right? And it's not like we can really get away with it for a long time, because the effect of continuing not to do what you need to do with your finances, it impacts the rest of your life, right? I mean, and not just the rest of your life, it impacts what you do right now, right? You feel it. It's a constant reminder of what's going on. And so I think for many of us, we have learned to live with the discomfort of not managing our money well, right? It's a known enemy. We know what this chaos is, and we've just decided, like, I'm gonna deal with this chaos because I understand it, I know how to navigate it, versus confronting whatever is causing us to want to operate in the chaos, instead of deciding I'm actually worthy of having a financial peace, having a financial freedom, and making my finances align with what I actually say I value. So all of that was such like deep revelation, right? As I was kind of working through and teaching and talking about like why budgeting is so important. A lot of us want to get to the sexy stuff. We want to get to the investments and teach me how to trade options, and what real estate deals can I get involved in? And all of that is fine and dandy. But if we don't manage the day to day of how we move our money, you can't graduate to the sexy stuff. You can't graduate to the more advanced strategy. And people are reaching out like, oh, I want to trust, and I want to not pay money on, I don't want to pay, more on taxes. And it's like, that's not something you should be worried about right now. And that's no shade, right? Like, obviously we want to pay less in taxes, but you're talking about saving, a couple $100s, when your real potential should be putting you in a position where you need to have strategy for how am I avoiding, tax liabilities that are in six figures. But I'm not gonna beat y'all over the head today, right? I'm not gonna beat y'all over the head today. But I wanted to just talk about this a little bit and start to help us shift the way we think about budgeting from this punishment that just reveals the worst about us, to an opportunity to allow a spending plan, to allow this resource to guide what we need our finances to do so that we can live the life we want to live, right? Money can be simple when you get clear on the things that you want to accomplish, and you have essentially like rules in place around what it is you want to do. It makes decision making so much easier, right? So like, if I know for sure that, oh, hey, I want to buy this property, and an opportunity presents itself, and it's like, oh yeah, you can spend this money on a new car, and it's like, that's not what I said I wanted, right? So it's easy to say no to that thing because that's not part of this plan, at least not right now. And I think for a lot of us, because we lack that clarity, we don't have a vision about what we want to accomplish. We get distracted with all the shiny stuff because we're not clear on what we want. So anything that comes across, our desk or comes into our purview, we're like, "Ooh, this might be something I want to take advantage of." But you have no idea what your actual ultimate objectives are. All right. So this conversation could easily spiral into 14 different new topics, but the topic of today was to address like why do we hate budgeting so much and what can we do differently to shift the way we think about it, right? To shift from, oh, this is punishment to this is something that is empowerment. This is something I can use as a benchmark. Turn it into a competition, right? How can I measure myself to see how well I can align these finances to what I said I was going to do? I like to make it a game. I am an athlete by nature. I used to run track. I was a cheerleader. And so part of me is just like, I'm trying to compete, right? I'm trying to figure out how I do better with this. So that's what I like to do when I'm thinking about like the budgeting aspect is how can I do this better than I did before? And it's not so much a punishment of, oh, I only have X amount of dollars to do this. It's like, okay, this is what it is. How well can I execute? Right. So that's all I have for y'all today. I'm gonna come back tomorrow. I think I want to do lives like this, short and sweet, somewhere between, like 15, 20 minutes every day, every weekday, because I'm gonna take breaks on the weekends. But so we can just start to have like conversations like this. And so if you are catching this replay and you have ideas for topics that we can dive into, let me know in the chat. And then yeah, I'll come back and engage y'all. So I had to step away from Instagram. They was not my friends over there yesterday, y'all. They was talking about my hair and some more stuff. And I was like, ooh, help me, Lord. Cause the fighter in me wanted to clap back, but that's not what we're supposed to do these days. So oh, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, y'all. So I will see you tomorrow, probably around the same time, around noon, Eastern Standard Time. We'll be able to tune in and have some good conversation. This was great. Have a great day, y'all.